Eric?
Okay, just want to let everyone know that the recording has started.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the call to order for the meeting is at 3:10 p.m. I'll go ahead and do roll call. Just say present or present if you're here. Commissioner Tauheed,
Here, present.
Commissioner King,
Present.
Commissioner Ford, absent, and Commissioner Reesmeyer, absent.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Since we only have two of four, I don't know if we officially have a quorum, so we can't vote or anything. We weren't going to do that anyway. But also, the beginning of the agenda after roll call was for Commissioner Reesmeyer to take us through the reparations report format document that he had put together, not only for this committee, but for the Reparations Commission as a whole. So I wanted to go over that document. He's unable to be here today. So I told him that we would improvise. And so we'll probably have a short meeting, but I wanted to go through the document, and let me share the document.
Okay. I was looking forward to seeing it. Okay.
I'll share it. Okay. Is that being shared there?
You did good.
Okay, good. And so being shared here is the document from Commissioner Reesmeyer. Starts off with an introduction, and there's this section which says key findings, which I guess certainly the commission as a whole is going to fill in that, and each subcommittee. I'm going to suggest that to the greatest extent possible that the economic subcommittee adopt this report format as well. And so key findings would be, in our case, from the economics subcommittee, and I have something to add about what that might be, at least preliminarily as we go forward. But it goes on to, as in the introduction, to talk about more of the ordinance. There's a section here, a case for Black reparations, which, as indicated here, needs original research. Now, of course, the larger commission is negotiating with the mayor for funding for that additional research, and with possibly some other sources of funding outside of the city, which I think should be there, and will come. But I've also, at the last full commission meeting, I indicated that I, here at UMKC, have access to some resources, and I'm in the process of hiring some students to begin our economics research. And what I want to do, once we get through the brief discussion of this, I want to go through how I think that should work with students doing research in the economics in Kansas City. But let's go through the document in that sense. And so we will need the original research.
I have a question on that. Okay, so this would have been helpful probably at the very beginning. So
Yes, good.
So you're hiring out of your own pocket, researchers?
No. The university has a grant.
Okay, so the grant is
to provide interns to faculty to do research. And I have, in the process, I've had approval to hire 3 students as interns to do whatever research I want to do. And in this case, I'm going to commission them or assign them at least research for the economics and issue in Kansas City. This idea came to me about doing this. We were in a meeting. Some of us, I know you were there, Commissioner King, with some national folks in the reparations area. They were talking about the Evanston Project, and the fact that the Evanston Project actually started out with research that had already been done.
Okay.
So they had research, particularly on redlining, if I remember, and they used that research going forward to make their case, which was, of course, successful. And so, the idea occurred to me that, well, we don't have to wait for the commission itself to have research, that if we can get some research going in this, that we can kind of have either a head start on it or substantially down the road in terms of the type of research that we would need. And have an idea that I want with this commission to this subcommittee to start that process when I get through this part. So I will swing over to at least that component, the student component on original research when I get through this. Okay, and so there is going forward. There's certainly national reparations work, and that's a lot of that has been done. I don't know that there's anything that we need to do on that area. The national reparations work research is done.
Yeah, we picked up a lot of resources at the Evanston conference they just had. So you're right. There's a significant amount. But of course, you have there's a lot of things that's just unique to KC too. So
right, yeah. And item B here indicates KCMO's role in the case for reparations. So that's specific for KCMO. So this is the research that's going to come out of the 5 impact areas, 5 harm areas that we are researching as subcommittees in the commission. And then the issue of quantification of the economic harm, that's usually taken as an economics component, but actually the putting the items that are deemed as having been harmful is the important part of that. Once that's done, the economics is pretty straightforward. It really isn't but anyway, it should be in the report, and that's what I agree with Commissioner Reesmeyer's idea that it has to be in the report. We're not finished our report unless we quantify the harm. One of the things that I think we've said before in certainly full commission members meetings, but also elsewhere, is that the national level of reparations is looking for a compensation. Most of the estimates are based on the difference in wealth between the Black community and white community, and that's a substantial amount. Kansas City, no local jurisdiction can close the wealth gap between Black and whites in their city. It's not enough money to do that. But however, there are things that all cities can do. And the only thing I would kind of add maybe as a to this is that quantification of the harm may end up with numbers that are fairly large. But just because the numbers come out large doesn't mean we say that we allow the city to say we can't do that because we don't have the money. We want them to do what they can. And I think, at least in the way I'm thinking is that private institutions, corporations, and so forth, also have benefited from that harm, with the help or the turning the blind eye of the city. And part of the case that needs to be made is not just the city's part, but also their benefit from that which has harmed us. So that's my contribution, if that makes sense.
Yes, okay. I do have a question, and I think probably, I don't know if you're going into more detail on just the scope, but I'd like more clarity on the scope when we say the economics piece. Okay. Are we responsible for finding, specifically with the quantification? Are we to fit our charge as this subcommittee to find the numbers for each of the 5 harms? Is that what?
Well, no, I don't. Well, I think each of the 5 harms probably should have some member of their team, their research team, who is able to quantify the harms. Right? I suppose we could hire when we get to the point of hiring researchers, we could hire one. say economics team that can do it for each of the 5 areas. We don't necessarily need 5 economists or one.
Yeah.
We should probably find someone to do that for all of the areas, which would mean that even the economic subcommittee would not necessarily do that work. Or we are the economic subcommittee, and certainly the economic harms comes under us. So maybe
clarity
becomes our responsibility. So yeah, you're right. We need clarity on the scope.
Yeah.
So I'll make a notation.
And do you do you feel that 3 interns? Because I mean, now that you've explained it that way, that would be very helpful. And I think if someone else is sponsoring us in that effort, and you have pretty much, you got the juice over there, it sounds like. So why not?
Well, no, it's not me. It's a program that
your network
that came to light. Yes, that came to light, and I said let's take advantage of it.
Might as well. So my question is, would it be more? I mean, you have 3. Could you consider fanning it out to where one does health and one is doing economics and one, so that way we could utilize that investment, UMKC's investment a little bit more than have to be on the economics. So
I suppose that's a possibility. If there are more resources available, then it makes sense perhaps to do that. It may be necessary for a faculty member at UMKC who is an expert in the health area to guide the research of students who are doing research in health. I mean, I do research in health, but I'm not an expert in that area. So it may be that's a possibility that an expert. Fortunately, we have Dr. Jones, who is chair of health, who is an expert in the health area. As much as anyone can be an expert in any of these complex areas. I'm an economist, but I'm not an expert in all of economics. I do various areas. But I do know how to guide student research in what the economics subcommittee needs to do in terms of business and economic development. That is an area that I have professional and academic experience in. But that's a good question. Let me see. Let me make sure. I'm making notations here on the document. They'll stay. They won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but that's a possibility. I think that's a good thing to think about. And the survey of prior reparation solutions, we have, of course, over 30 commissions going on around the country on this. So there certainly is information available from others. So pull that together. This is becoming quite a long report already.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's substantial.
Here. I'm sorry. I don't want to keep interrupting.
No.
On mute.
No, we've got time. Go ahead.
Oh, we got time. Okay. The commissions, 30 commissions. Is there a document like that's?
I don't know. Yeah, I imagine there is some document. I think the 30 or so, and if maybe more like it may be more like 40 now because others have been added.
Yeah,
there's probably a list somewhere that we can get from some of the organizations that.
Maybe the coalition has it. Maybe I can, because that'll be good as I'm trying to just formulate templates for our harm statements. Again, no need to recreate the wheel. But it'd be nice to see if there's some that we think are pretty powerful that we can use and tweak for our purposes. So that's good information. Maybe I'll reach out to the coalition.
That would be great. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Go ahead.
Do you want that if I get that information? Would you like that link or have access?
Yes, or the document itself, because it appears that if we have those 35, then we need to reach out to them to provide their documents, whatever they have, and now the report really becomes large if we're going to do that. So we probably need a summary of some type. But that's work not necessarily to be done by us. It probably should be done by the persons that we hire to do this work. So
you mean to summarize it? No, I was just wanting to read through what the
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, the documents that are out there that we know about, the California, the San Francisco, Evanston, Chicago. Well, Chicago just started. There are, I think, between Evanston and San Francisco and the state of California, those are commissions that have actually issued reports.
Okay.
The others are very early and young. I don't know that there are many reports out yet, but we should find that out.
Okay.
There's a section here on historical reparation proposed and adopted in U.S. jurisdiction. That's national level. Recent reparations proposed, adopted, not acted upon in the U.S. So now some of this, have been acted upon. So
yeah, sure has.
We'll need to Holocaust victims from Nazi Germany. There have been some reparations to indigenous persons, to Native Americans in terms of return of land. So I'm not, so where it says not acted upon, I guess it's the word not is the one that we need to question here. Because they have been acted upon in some ways. So okay. So we're doing some little editing here. Let me see. Are there examples of other countries proposing, adopting, rejecting reparations? There are international reparations. I guess one of the most well known is the reparations paid by Nazi Germany to Jewish Holocaust victims. Well, not just Jewish Holocaust victims, because it wasn't just a Jewish community that had genocide committed against them. It was others as well. So there are reparations that were paid by, for example, the Roma community, what's called the Gypsy community in Germany, and there were Polish, not just Polish Jews, but other Poles and Slavs who were victims of German atrocities. So there were reparations paid. So it's in and of course there are proposals out from many former European colonies for reparations to be paid. The Caribbean countries, the CARICOM countries, have put together a proposal to their former colonizers for reparations. So reparations is very much an international, but it always has been. The U.S. is the kind of the late comer in some sense to reparations.
No, and maybe this is just a fleeting thought, but I think it would probably be of value for us to, you just listed off some successful reparation plans. We should know what those are. We should have that in our library. That'd be kind of good to read on.
Yeah, and I think there certainly are legal arguments that were made, and in some sense, we've talked about this before. This becomes a legal case. As I understand, not a lawyer, but I understand from lawyers, this is like a tort case. Someone does something that causes harm to someone else, and they sue. They go to court, and they can certainly show damages. And there's also, I guess, a component that if the harm done is intentional, then there are additional damages that will be rewarded. And this is certainly intentional. The type of things we're talking about are intentional, not accidental.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And then proposed reparation solutions, structural changes in KCMO ordinance, steps to request steps be taken by other government entities that is outside of the city, I suppose, to coordinate with the city, local companies, individuals, private companies, and payments to ancestors or direct descendants and others, payments, cash payments of some type, and others. So there is probably a list that we want to add, some items we want to add to this list. Okay. And
do you have any ideas on what you mean with that?
Well, structural changes for me encompasses a lot. So, for example, if we're now, we're talking about harm done to Black-owned businesses during up until now, up and including now, then changes in terms of how African American owned, Black-owned businesses, are part of the contracting and bidding process with the city. One of the challenges there that we know is coming is that the Supreme Court has struck down race-based admissions in schools and affirmative actions, but it's not stopping there. Others are filing cases to prevent governments from doing various types of things. So, but there are some, and I won't talk about it here because it's part of strategy, but there are some ways that apparently the Supreme Court would be okay with. And so we obviously need some legal component in this. And I think even one of the mayor's suggestions was that we have a legal consultant as part of this. And that's why we do need legal consulting in this process.
Yeah.
And then conclusion, I don't think, let me see, I think that's the last page. Okay. So I think it's a very good document. It lays things out. And since Commissioner Reesmeyer is a lawyer, we probably want to ask him to fill out some more of the his legal thinking on this. Although it's not, as I understand, this is not an area of his expertise. But there's some, I think, it seems to me that all lawyers in law school go through a torts class, so they might know something about that. So let's go on to something else. Back to this discussion I mentioned here about research and about the students. What I'm thinking, let me get this document up here, is that as I'm reading the ordinance, this is the ordinance from the city, and I put it in a Word doc form. It was the way I got it was a picture of a PDF, but a picture of a Word document. I was able to convert it into a Word form, and I emailed that out to commissioners and to Eric, and also to
oh, you emailed this? I'm sorry.
Yes, I just emailed it just before the meeting.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Okay. And so it is in a Word form, Eric. So if you want to include that in the document, in the document library, as in a Word form, so others can get to it.
Yeah.
And so this is the ordinance, and the way it reads is, as the report says, it makes acknowledgement of the harms done by the city to the Kansas City Black community through enslavement and up to modern times. And so there are lots of components there, but there are some other components that I think that are, I think very much researchable, not a matter of history or a proclamation. And for example, this, whereas Black Kansas Cityans have not had equal access to capital for business development due to discriminatory practices of financial institutions, so forth and so on. That's a researchable thing. That's a researchable question. In other words, to what extent have Black businesses not have access to capital? And so and as we go through this, there are a large number of items that are researchable and that have economic import. In fact, most of them do, right? Mm-hmm. So says, now where's data, next one, where's data from the Census Bureau survey of business owners? And so that's about, it talks about the disparities in Black business ownership in Kansas City. That's also a researchable thing. I'm very familiar with those numbers already.
Where's this document from, you said?
The Census Bureau, this document here that we're looking at?
Yes.
This is the ordinance, right? This is the city's ordinance.
Okay, gotcha.
And so when you look through the ordinance, it has lots of testimony, if you will, about actual harm that the city has done economically, right? Mm-hmm. Am I thinking that it's in the ordinance? So the city is substantiating already it's like, as I understand, if you were to go to court and sue someone and they say, yes, I admit I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. If they admit, I think it's called a stipulation, then you don't have to prove it. You just have to figure out what the damages are, right? They already admit that Kansas cities have not had access to capital for business. Now, the question is, what is the city's part of that with banks and others that finance that? But they've already admitted in the ordinance that that is a thing that the city has some responsibility for. The disparities in the number of Black business. So these are facts that become part of a case that damage has been done. And then when we go forward, we find more and more of these types of things. Okay, so here's talking about the 2016 disparity study. And so that disparity study becomes a document to be researched. But there's a specific discussion here that the disparity study, what does it says, has evaluated almost $2 billion in contracts, and indicates that 86% of the contracts were awarded to white-owned businesses, 7% to Black-owned businesses. That certainly is a disparity with the Black population. So the disparity study already has that information. The question is documenting it and then calculating the harm that disparity has caused. Okay. And without going through any more of this, what I want, I'm going to task my students to get them started with items out of this ordinance.
Oh, okay. So this will be
the basis for the research. Okay. And what I would want them to do is to be in contact with economic subcommittee commission members who have an interest or knowledge about any of these areas, kind of as a background. These are students who are going to come to commission members and get some guidance from commission members, not just from me, but guidance, do an interview or so forth with commission members to say, hey, you've indicated to the commission members, you've indicated that you know something about this, small business credit accommodations in Kansas City. And so, can you give us some background on what you know, so I'll know where to start? Because you can research anything just randomly, or you can focus more on particular things that are already known, and that helps your research go quicker. So if commission members on the economic committee, and maybe we expand it out to just commission members in general who are interested in particular harm areas indicated in the ordinance, know something about those those items, or know where to send people to find more information. That I think I would like these researchers to kind of work in that way, not just go out and study and research something, but research things in the ordinance. And by the way, we have commission members, particularly economic subcommittee members, who can help you get started. So the assignment that I want the commission members, economic subcommittee members to do is to look through this and find 2 areas that you would say, I know something about that, and let me know that, so I'll know how to guide the students to you. And then we'll make some allowances for an hour or so of interview with that student doing the research with a commission member to get started.
I like that. I like that, and I like your second suggestion that you expand out the inquiry to all the commissioners, just because everybody has powerful circles of influence. And because I know I'm on the economic committee, but I'm looking at that stuff there. And I've owned a business for years.
Right.
I don't know how much I can add to some of those questions. So yeah, I think the more the merrier. And then being able to use, like I said, everyone else's circles of influence. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't personally affect you, somebody that it does. So I like that second suggestion.
Yeah. And so let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I haven't counted the items. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, over 20. There are over 20 items in this ordinance in which the city has said it has been a part of causing harm in the economic areas for the Black community. We're not going to have the time and resources to go in depth in all of those. So we need to pick out the ones that are important and the ones that we have some prior knowledge or experience with, or as you said, no people who have that prior knowledge and experience. And
so yeah, so will you, because I heard you say there's 20, and we're not going to do all of them. Will you prioritize the ones that you think are most?
Well, I'm asking, in some sense, I'm asking economic subcommittee members to help prioritize them.
Oh, okay.
So if you've got two, if each member is, then I'll make sure that Commissioner Ford and Commissioner Reesmeyer have the same knowledge. Pick two items out of this that you think are important and that you have some knowledge of. That'll be 6 items. Well, actually, it'll be 8 items, and then we'll get the 3 students started on researching. Some of the research is just going into the data, Census Bureau or Bureau of and updating the data, bringing it up and making a report on the data. Then, but the data itself, I think doesn't speak for itself. We need to have an understanding of how the data was created. So if there's disparity in business development in the Black community, there is a question to be asked of how did that come about? In which case, these researchers, at least the way I'm going to direct them, is to go into some historical documents to see what happened when a particular, I think one of the biggest recent city allocations, I'll put it that way, in contracting was the Power and Light District, $4 billion project. Well, there's evidence that the Black community didn't get the benefit out of that we were promised and that we should have. There's very substantial evidence. Well, okay, let's investigate that and see what that is.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm wanting to do is to get the commission, particularly this subcommittee, involved in the research of these research in the same way that when eventually for economic harm, the economic subcommittee harm report, we will be guiding those consultants in doing this as well, because it can't be that they just go off and do whatever they want to do. They need to do what we want them to do. And so this is a kind of a preview for that too.
Okay. Awesome. So you want us to help in clearly defining their scope of work. So
yes,
it'll be focused on what we exactly need. Okay.
Yeah, yes, exactly the way to say it. So
I'm going to be taking guidance again because this is
this is yes, exactly. But it's exciting to get students are excited to do this kind of work. They always are, and so it's always good working with them.
That's good.
So here we are at almost 17 minutes left. Eric, do we have anyone from the public?
We do not. We did have one person, and they left a while ago.
Okay, so hold on. Let me stop sharing here. Okay. Well then.
Do we ever list who those callers are? Eric?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do we ever keep track of that? I think that would be kind of important later on if there's some people that consistently show up, have a vested interest. Are you keeping track of who's calling in from the community?
I don't have a list. The only list that I have is the list of people who asked to be on like the mailing list. When I send the emails out of the agenda, that's all I have. What we can do going forward is to let people know that if they want to get on the mailing list for the Reparation Commission subcommittee meetings and the full commission meeting, to send me an email or I don't want people to put their email addresses in the chat. I don't mind putting mine in there, I can put mine in there and have them email me.
Mhm.
And then that way I can put them in there. But I can't start a list if you'd like.
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
think
up
that,
to Commissioner Swanky, but I
no,
was
no, no, I think
my
excellent. And let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah, my thoughts were, especially if people are they logging on through the Zoom? Because typically when you're setting it up, they have to type in their name, and that
Yes.
information right there, we can collect and store and use that.
Okay, I can do that. And then, yeah, so I can make that an action item going forward. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. So I think that's the end of the agenda. Is that correct, Eric?
That is the agenda, the end of the agenda.
Okay. So we've got our assignments.
Yes.
I've got my assignment, and
I got my assignment.
Right.
Yeah. So everyone's got an assignment. It's a good meeting, I guess. Everyone has an assignment.
Yeah, very productive. Very productive.
So it was good, and we'll let Commissioner Ford and Reesmeyer know that they've been assigned to do everything else. Everything.
Everything else, right? We only going to do two things.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
okay. Great. Is there anything else that I can be helpful with that you need from me?
Not at the moment. Not that I can think of at the moment, but it was a good meeting, and I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I've been talking to Eric, and I don't know that it been a good conversation, but it might not have been the meeting agenda conversation.
How well that conversation would, Mr.
Yeah.
I was just laugh. You know me, I'd have just laughed the whole time.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, it would have been that. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess meeting is adjourned.
Meeting adjourned at 3:47. Thank you, guys, and you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful class.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Bye-bye.